If the world were to take everything away from you, it could never take away your education. With it, you can change everything. Those words were repeated to me growing up, and they had meaning for me because my mother is Palestinian and my father is Syrian. My ability to stand here is a testament to the power of an education. My father had grown up in very difficult circumstances. In a single generation, I would gain the chance at a transformative education that changed my life and empowered my unshakable belief in my ability to make a difference in the world. The divergences of worlds that existed within my own life made me acutely perceptive to the power of a chance. I was no better than the young girl in Syria, the young girl in Iraq. The difference was that I had a chance. I had systems that believed in me and empowered my potential. And if they had had my chance, what might become of these people and places written off as hopeless cases? The greatest injustice is when we've got systems that blame us for failing to rise when they've broken the rungs of the very ladders on which we can climb. My 4 years at Harvard reinforced to me what I knew to be true from my own life. I met young people from every country and community who shattered the narratives of impossible told of our worlds on the screens. Each of us a defiance of the odds of the places we were from. Again and again, I saw that potential is limitless. It knows no color, no country, no creed. Opportunity is not. There is no limit to how far we go and what we become capable of when empowered with a chance. I lived that up close when I found myself standing at graduation to speak to 36,000 people gathered on Harvard Yard that day as the first person from my background to do so in the university's 363-year history. What would have been unimaginable to my father just a generation ago. Standing there, all excuses of exceptionalism and anomalousness that are used to confine some of us to success and others to forever failure based off where we're from came crashing down for me in the face of the great equalizer of men, education. I decided to use my platform that day to speak up about the suppression of civil liberties and rights characteristic of the countries of my context, inspired by an education that pushed me not to take the way the world is as a given, but to challenge the way things are and to attempt to change them for the better. I called on my peers to take the revolutions that our educations drove within our lives to serve as 6,000 catalysts of positive change in our communities across the world. In the aftermath of that experience, I understood more powerfully than ever before in my life the power my chance at my education had given me, had given each of us to make a difference in the world. And it emboldened my convictions and my belief in a transformative education as the ultimate solution. You see, that experience would connect me with the stories and lives of people far beyond I would have ever imagined, who inspire and energize my convictions and my purpose each day. I heard from Bushra, an inspiring young woman from Jordan, who shared with me how she challenged the boundaries of a conservative culture to share her ambitions for higher education, where doing so was an act of resistance. Persevering in her aims, she was able to push the boundaries outward and change things for her sister and for her neighbor's daughter who saw the possibility and the path in her. I heard from Jude, an inspiring young woman from Syria who would break the barriers of being a refugee to strive for access to quality education in Canada, and then used the platform of her chance to advocate for the chances of other refugees. I saw very clearly these small, peaceful revolutions going off in different communities. I saw that we are each a positive revolution of our entire worlds waiting to happen when empowered with a chance. And what if we could put the power of that in the hands of every community? What vast potential for progress resides in that? The problem is that a transformative education remains the confine of a few. We know that education is a fundamental human right. We know that it is at the heart of leveling the playing field and lifting off communities. And yet, 260 million young people remain without access, a crisis that nobody is talking about. And for an even greater number where access exists, it does not guarantee quality. And so the inequities grow. And it's in those inequities that conflict, violence, and so much of our challenge reside. And it's like we've accomplished nothing. Too many young people, they go to school in broken systems that keep them and their communities artificially suppressed. They are locked out of being agents of positive change that their worlds so desperately need. Rather than empower and inspire their hope and visions in the future, they are told to dream a little smaller to fit the realities of their contexts, when it is precisely that capacity to dream big that we need to ignite in them to change the trajectories of their worlds. For young people in so many communities, to hope is an act of constant resistance met with a constant language of the impossible. It is impossible, they are told time and again. Things will never change. They have always been this way. What my education gave me through ideas and histories was the power to see the problems, but also to see the possibilities and to believe in my ability to lead change. It showed me impossible in so many ways. Martin Luther King and civil rights, that was impossible. Mandela and ending apartheid, that too was impossible. And then it told me, now go out and chase it and persevere until you change it. Let us teach young people about MLK, about Mandela, about Margaret Hamilton, who put the man on the moon, to shatter impossible, to give them the power to see themselves as protagonists of different possibilities rather than as stuck in 100 historical forces beyond their control to change. It doesn't take state-of-the-art facilities to spark that sense of possibility for every young person. It can happen under an open sky. What it takes is a good teacher, a good book, ideas that empower and inspire. We have no excuses. Too many young people are locked out of being innovators who can lift off their economies, the most powerful anti-poverty program ever invented. We send them out into the world without the problem-solving, critical thinking, and creative action demanded to participate in the new economy. Not ready for the jobs of today, let alone those of the future. And so they are trapped out of opportunity again and again, precisely what they most need to break vicious cycles of poverty and inequality and rise up. We need to launch young people into the world with the skills to succeed. Learning how to learn, unlearn, and relearn will be crucial to enable them to adapt and disrupt in a world where change is the only constant, so that they are not trapped and left out of the system over and over again. They hear about progress, but all they see are their communities losing more and more jobs and opportunities. The dissonance between elusive progress and their realities at the heart of the aggravation that so many are feeling today across our countries. And too many young people are locked out of being active citizens who better our societies. They are told to answer inside the box, not to challenge givens, not to question, to live inside the box. and systems that dictate rather than educate, asking us only to memorize and regurgitate. The fractures of our societies are a direct reflection of the fractures of our education systems. These students become citizens who simply follow and do not lead, who do not have the capacity to question authority. You ask me, where do we build democracy? I say, look no further than our education systems. We build democracy not just in ballot boxes. We build it most powerfully in empowering millions of democracies in the people. Iraq showed us what happens when we attempt to build it in systems and structures imported in container boxes and neglect to empower it in a society through critical thought and a civil debate of difference. Too many young people, they are locked out of being peace builders who can mend the fractures of their broken worlds. Rather than inform young people, our education systems inflame. History is taught with political taints, social studies with political taints, geography with political taints. And as a result, these young people inherit the prejudices and biases of their communities, not even understanding why they hold them in the first place. And they project those resentments out into the future, a million conflicts seemingly without end. We need to expose young people to a diversity of perspectives and worldviews, to step into the shoes of those different from ourselves and to see their experiences as no less human than our own. We need to teach them to engage difference in constructive debate rather than take to violence and hate, so that they do not become susceptible to ideologies that hinge as a matter of self-existence on the negation of all that is different. In a world putting up so many walls and borders, education is the most powerful place we build peace. It's among students before soldiers, in our textbooks before our Security Council resolutions, that we negotiate our divides. It is here we launch 100 wars out into the future, or here we launch perpetual peace. Finally, our broken systems send young people out into the world without the ability to be, in the so many unique ways that they can be something of impact in this world. Instead, we apply industrial policy to people's lives, writing off entire futures before we've even given them a chance to shine. Fundamentally, none of us are meant to be inconsequential, and each of us is a change of worlds if we are risen to our true potential. Our education system should not operate like factories that write people off wholesale like defects in a machine, but instead like innovation labs that tinker and iterate and discover our unique stories and strengths and then scale them to the sky, because there is world change in each of us. We need systems that see every student not just as another statistic, but as an opportunity to transform a community. And so we have a challenge before us today, at the heart of so much of our challenge, and an opportunity at the heart of so much of our opportunity, which is to put the power of a chance at a transformative education in the hands of every community. Building and leading a startup team, the greatest lesson for me was the power of a strong team. I got to very concretely see what happens when we believe in young people and empower them to lead, how they rise to the challenge and they activate the leadership and potential of others. And suddenly, we scale in impact, and visions that seemed ambitious become within reach. And that pushed me to see all of society as our teams in taking on our greatest challenges. When others rise, they lift us all up. We stand before vast challenges: conflict, climate, the corrosion of democracy. Each of these is vast on its own, but we have a means to take them all on, and in this generation. It's when we empower millions to lead change across our millions of communities and to become a part of the solution. It's when we set off millions of peaceful revolutions in every family, every community, on every issue, in every person risen to their true potential. That is how we most powerfully take on our greatest global challenges and drive real change on them. In a chance is the power to change a world. So with urgency and hope, I put out a challenge to us all today. Let us work to set off 7.5 billion of them. It might seem ambitious, but it is within our reach. Thank you.